was asked by Chris Lilley and his producer Laura Waters to work on Angry Boys. They wanted me to do on-set stills photography, which was how I started in photography, and also, but primarily, to work with both Chris and Laura and the art department to create all the photography around the characters that, I guess, when the viewers watching would believe that they have a history and a past. So, for example, I guess Smouse was a rapper who had, I think it was kind of like a bit of a daggy career before that in like pop music, and then before that was a bit of a dorky kid at school. And so the photography around shooting for Smouse was everything from shooting, I guess, the cover of Rolling Stone through to like a series of album covers that had kind of taken him from being, a starting artist through to a successful recording artist. Yeah, and then, everything from, the family photos of him at home. And so we researched, I guess, when an image would have been taken, with some of the characters who were older, their photography would have been done on film. And so therefore, I guess with Blake the surfer, his initial photography would have been shot on film. And therefore, that's what we did. We shot with the mediums that would have been available to those people at those times.
We don't have heaps of photos of Dad because we only had one camera. When I was that age, we only had one camera and it was film. It was before you could take digital photos, so it was all on film, so we didn't have that many shots of him. So that's one of the good ones.
So Chris has a real opinion about how everything should look. I mean, it's pretty amazing and fascinating to watch him do his work. He's on everything from writing the scripts through to co-directing the series, writing the music as things are happening, directing the art department. And for something like Angry Boys, we were shooting in different locations every day that looked like, different countries or cities. And so everyone really had the job to kind of, I guess, add the value of, adding a little bit more detail. And that's, it was a real kind of blessing to be able to do that for a production of that scale.
Now these, I've had the pink background done on him. I like this one because it's an interesting leg position. Do you like that one?
It's all right.
This one, not so keen, but I do like the profile with the lips there. You into that one? I thought you preferred that one more.
It's all right.
That's probably a favourite. That's in my top 2.
My favourite was when one of the characters, I think it was Smouse, was being papped by a helicopter. And usually, whenever kind of a job like that would come up, or a shot like that, you'd probably think of shooting it from, people always take the cheap way of doing things. I remember looking at the script and saying, well, I think that needs a helicopter. And sure enough, I had a phone call from Laura a couple of hours after our meeting saying, I've got you a helicopter, you need to do this. And so, I then had to become a paparazzi photographer and hang out of a helicopter, over a suburb. And while, having to direct a chopper pilot, to see, we had a whole crew down below. Chris was doing his job, the helicopter door was open and just flying out and just feeling this wind and just having to perform. I had 3 goes at flying over. That was, a really joyous thing to be able to do.
Turns out that helicopter that went over my house was the paparazzi.
Slap my fat gut.
That shot ain't real.
So another part of the working on Angry Boys that I guess I really loved doing was the closing, I guess, montage is of all of these different characters coming together. It was a real feat because, again, Chris and Laura approached me and said, well, look, we want to close the series with these photos. And they were so involved because the idea was that they were party photos. But so there's a real kind of relaxed feeling that people have with each other when they're posing for those images. But then to have Chris being both those characters was a real kind of difficult job. Part of it was on film, but the majority of what I had to do, well, I guess, was the stills. And so we had 2 or 3 days, I think actually it would have been 2 days, that my cameras and sets were set up. We had to work out a schedule of dressing him into the different characters over the day, and some of them were huge makeup jobs. But you know, there had to be the same lighting. You know, there had to be a crew that was shooting in and around those sets, and there had to be a real kind of effortlessness to those shots as well. Working on Angry Boys was a real blessing as a photographer. Opportunities don't really come by that often.